We got some word yesterday that was pretty darn positive. Michael Flynn, former national security advisor for President Trump, who had been unjustly, and I think a case can strongly be made illegally, surveilled and investigated by the Obama administration and then still by the FBI even after President Obama left office, it seems. He was vindicated, Flynndicated, shall we say, in essence, by an appeals court yesterday that ruled in his favor. That is saying the case should indeed be dismissed, the case against him, that Judge Emmett Sullivan, lower court judge, district judge, had been trying to drag on, I think, inappropriately. Let's dive in to this very topic of conversation today, get a good sense for what's going on with this Michael Flynn case, where things are at, how we got here, with Max McGuire, who is advocacy director at conservative-daily.com and the host of the Conservative Daily podcast on YouTube, Facebook, and all your favorite podcast locations. Max rejoins us here on Jimmy at the Crossroads. My friend, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Now, then we learned something pretty stunning yesterday as well, which is Joe Biden and Barack Obama apparently knew more about the Flynn investigation than anybody was trying to let on with the release. In pick one, we've got these notes that were uncovered that I'm so stunned that they actually are saying, we didn't really know that much. We weren't paying attention. This wasn't our thing, so on and so forth. But Max McGuire, what these notes, and I'm trying to find where I have the transcript here in front of me, but I know you know it well. Can you summarize it for us, what it said?
Yeah, sure. So it's chicken scratch, but these are handwritten notes that were written by Peter Strzok, who was that FBI lovebird. Not only did he let Hillary Clinton off the hook, but he's the one who launched the whole Trump investigation. He was the one having an affair with Lisa Page, basically saying we're going to defeat Trump by any means necessary. He's writing down these notes, relaying what's being told to him by James Comey himself. James Comey was in the room, Strzok wasn't. So Comey's telling Strzok what happened, and Strzok in real time is writing these chicken scratch notes just for his own memory, to be able to recall what Comey told him. And so they're talking about the Flynn calls. They're asking whether there are other countries involved. And then you have Comey and Yates saying that we should lean forward on something unclassed. Don't know what that means. But then you have Biden. Biden is being mentioned as bringing up the Logan Act, which is a law that was passed in 1799, which makes it a federal crime for a civilian to negotiate with a foreign country on the United States' behalf. Now, that law has never been successfully prosecuted, not once, because it is unconstitutional. You have a First Amendment right to free speech. You cannot criminalize that speech because you're talking to a foreign government official. So it's never been prosecuted. And yet Joe Biden, we now know from these notes that Joe Biden is the one who brought it up. And then President Obama says, well, these are unusual times, almost as if he's setting the pretext for all this, that this is unusual, but these are unusual times. We have every right to do this. Then Biden says, I've been on the Intel committee for 10 years and I presume he says, I never saw anything like this. And then Obama says, and this is one of the key parts, make sure you look at things and have the right people on it. And then he asks, is there anything I shouldn't be telling the transition team? And Comey says, the Flynn and Kislyak calls appear legit. And then they say something about Happy New Year and yeah, right. So these notes are very important because up until this point, we knew from Sally Yates, when Sally Yates, she was the Deputy Attorney General under Obama, and her testimony, we know from her testimony and the interview she gave with FBI investigators that she pegged Comey as the one who brought up the Logan Act. Comey denied it. He said someone else in the room brought up the Logan Act. Now from these notes, which aren't Comey's notes, but it's Comey retelling the story to another FBI employee, these notes show us that, at least according to Comey, it was Joe Biden who brought up the Logan Act. And it was Obama who said, look into this
Wait.
and make sure you put the right people on it.
Hold up. Get me back on the screen, Nathan Matoush, because I'm going to object. I'm going to object here to what Max was just saying. There's no way Biden said that. He told George Stephanopoulos in Cut 2, a couple of months ago, that he didn't know more than that this investigation was underway.
I do want to ask you about Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor to President Trump, and the move by the Justice Department last week to dismiss the case against him for lying to the FBI. The president said yesterday that that move is justified because President Obama targeted Flynn. He called it, quote, the biggest political crime in U.S. history. Your former Senate colleague, Charles Grassley, has added that Flynn was entrapped and asked on the Senate floor, what did Obama and Biden know? When did they know it? So what did you know about those moves to investigate Michael Flynn, and was there anything improper done?
I know nothing about those moves to investigate Michael Flynn, number one. Number two, this is all about diversion.
I do want to press that. You say you didn't know anything about it, but you were reported to be at a January 5th, 2017 meeting where you and the president were briefed on the FBI's plan to question Michael Flynn over those conversations he had with the Russian ambassador Kislyak.
Now, I thought you asked me whether or not I had anything to do with him being prosecuted.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was aware that they asked for an investigation, but that's all I know about it, and I don't think anything else.
Max, Joe Biden, he assured us he was only aware that there was an investigation. That's it.
Yeah, no, he's a liar. He's a liar, but most likely he actually doesn't remember. I mean, I don't think Joe Biden remembers what he ate for breakfast yesterday.
It's probably true.
So in fairness, he might just not remember. But then again, when someone commits treason, you'd think that maybe it gets stored in their long-term memory. No, this is a complete lie. And even Joe Biden's apology was a lie too. He said, I knew that they asked for the investigation. These notes show that the deputy attorney general and Comey were in the room, but it wasn't they that asked for the investigation. It was Obama that said, look into this and make sure you put the right people on it. And it was Joe Biden that recommended this track looking into Logan Act violations. So it's a complete lie. It's funny when Donald Trump brings this up and he says that Barack Obama and Joe Biden may have committed treason. The mainstream media runs the comment and then says, but Trump provided no evidence. You have to be hiding under a rock to be able to write that headline or to want to deliberately mislead people. This is the president of the United States ordering an investigation into an incoming administration, and it's the vice president of the United States who, as we've talked about on the show before, doesn't actually have any power. The vice president, other than breaking a tie in the Senate, the only thing he's there for is if the president becomes incapacitated. But the vice president is recommending that the Justice Department look into a 1799 law that has never successfully been prosecuted. We want to talk about independence in investigations. The vice president has no business recommending that the DOJ and FBI investigate someone on a 1799 crime. There's no legitimate reason for it.
Well, but Max McGuire, let me add this point too, which is recall that John Kerry had been doing, I think, under this current president, Donald Trump. The former Secretary of State, John Kerry, was literally going over and trying to negotiate with Iran. And that was not where he was incoming into an administration. Keep in mind, when this was happening, Michael Flynn was being investigated by the FBI. He was the incoming national security advisor, having conversations that were particularly reasonable for an incoming national security advisor to have with a foreign government, as opposed to John Kerry, who was a former Secretary of State. Max McGuire.
Yeah, I understand that makes sense. The challenge is that everyone has a free speech right. You have the right to talk to someone without that speech being criminalized. Obviously, unless you are delivering some kind of direct call to violence. You have the right to speak your mind, and it's not criminal if you speak your mind to a foreign power. Where John Kerry gets into serious trouble is that he wasn't just talking to a foreign power; he was giving aid and comfort to the enemy. Right? We're not just talking about his speech being criminalized. He was telling Iran, don't negotiate with Trump, because if Trump loses, you'll have Democrats in power and it'll be better off for you. That's giving aid and comfort to the enemy, which, as long as you have a couple witnesses, that can be prosecuted as treason. So there is a little bit of a difference there. And you're right, between an incoming administration and someone who hasn't been in government for years. But yeah, no, Kerry has a lot more to worry about than Flynn ever did.